Aiden Lavelle from European Green Transition joins us now. Aiden, I believe you have some good news coming out of your copper tailings recycling project in Cyprus.
That's right. Yeah, we've announced results today from 68 samples across the Limni pit and surrounding area. And we have actually 3 different sample types. So we've sampled the what we call sulfate crust, which sits on the surface of the pit, which is a backfill pit. And the results from that, those 5 samples had an average of 0.7% copper, ranging between 0.4 and 0.9%. And that's acid soluble copper as well. So that confirms what we thought, that the tailings are likely oxidized in the pit, and that the acidic water circulating there are moving copper around. And when the water dries out in the hot season, the copper is precipitating out on the surface of the pit. So we've got some encouraging results from that. And then also we took another 54 samples of the backfill material across the pit, and that had average grades of 0.2% copper, but that's a mix of waste and probably some tailings in there that's capping the real tailings beneath. And then also, which was more surprising, we had 9 rock samples around the edge of the pit, and some of those came back with some very good gold grades, between up to 1.7 grams per ton gold, and the average was about 0.9 for a southern area of the pit. We took 5 samples over about 200 by 100 meters of an area, and the average grade there was 0.7 grams per ton. So surprisingly, there was a bit more gold knocking around with the copper than we had expected. But yeah, the results are very encouraging, and we move to our next stage of due diligence.
Encouraging indeed. So what do these results mean in terms of your strategy to recover meaningful amounts of copper from the site?
Yeah, so the strategy when we acquired the option on this project was to look at the potential to actually have an in situ recovery of copper from the water, because at the pit you can see this blue water outflowing or discharging from the backfill pit and depositing sulfate minerals with a lot of copper in there. The results confirm that. So it adds more weight to the potential to actually treat the water from the pit and recover meaningful amounts of copper, which will be a fairly small type of containerized plant to do that, with the potential for near-term revenue generation by treating that water and extracting the copper and also cleaning up the site.
Right, so you slightly anticipate my next question, but when you mention near-term revenue, but so what are the next steps for the Limni project overall?
Yeah, so the initial samples we've released today are very encouraging. We will progress to the next stage of our due diligence work, and that will require getting some deeper samples. So that might be using an excavator to actually get some trench samples of the tailings, or also a very low-cost drill program, or like a single drill hole to get a more representative sample. And Cyprus is a very low-cost country to operate in. We'll also be talking to geologists and planning out that program to get to that near-term revenue generation as quickly as possible.
Well, we look forward to watching your continued progress on Limni and on your many other projects. Aiden Lavelle, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.